Paris Jackson went to the place in court where people answer questions. She was wearing a dark blue jacket. That was her father's favorite color. Her hands were shaking a little, but her voice was strong and did not shake, which was unusual for her. She took an old yellowed envelope from a folder. The writing on it was clearly for Paris. The words on the envelope said, "Do not open this until you are 21 years old. If bad people come looking for you, show them what is inside." The judge asked her, "Can you tell us for sure who wrote that?" She answered, "Michael Joseph Jackson, my father, wrote it." Inside the envelope was a letter that was 3 pages long. Michael Jackson wrote it in early 2008. That was only 1.5 years before he died. The letter did not start with a friendly hello. It just started with this sentence: "There are some people in this music business that I was told never to name, but keeping you safe is more important to me than staying silent." Then he wrote in the letter, "There are houses in the hills where they do not play music. In those houses, there is only quiet, and they give instructions." He also wrote, "You will hear them talk about training, but they are not talking about training your voice to sing. They mean training you to obey and do what you are told." And finally, he wrote this: "The one they call SC is not a music producer. He is a whole system. If you see him, do not sing." Police who investigate serious crimes immediately took special note of the letters SC. But people watching this video already know that this same name or these letters SC have been linked to many hidden bad people in the Diddy court case. The letters SC have shown up in secret company notes, in rules for how artists should get help or recover, and in official papers that let people ignore normal rules. Now, Michael Jackson, who was the most powerful solo singer in music history, is connecting that same SC to keeping his daughter Paris safe in the future. Paris said that during that winter, her father became extremely worried about keeping her out of music studios. He told her, "They are coming around again, the same bad people from 1993. She said she didn't understand what he meant back then. But he would walk back and forth in the house, whispering things. He would say strange things like, "They put contracts inside mirrors now," and "Don't sign any papers in a room that doesn't have corners." She paused. He made her promise him something. If anyone ever tried to offer her help with her career through a special group or foundation, she had to call him first. He said, "That is where they hide their bad plans." On the second page of the letter, Michael wrote, "The person called Kala Memes," this might be a coded name for Sean Combs, also known as Diddy, "is not the main boss. He is like a delivery person. Pay attention to who he delivers you to." This is the very first time Michael Jackson has been directly or indirectly connected to Sean Combs in an official court setting. Paris was asked, "Did your father ever say the name Sean Combs out loud?" She shook her head no. No, he would only call him the Velvet Hand. Her father said, "They make you feel like you are special and chosen." He added, "They do this right before they take what they really came to get from you." The judge asked, "Miss Jackson, why are you showing this letter to the court now?" Paris waited for a long moment. Then she said, "Because everything my father was afraid of is happening all over again. The training, the silence, the feeling of being stuck in a loop. And this time, they have come for girls that I know. Some are dancers, some are stylists. Some of them are younger than I am." The person talking in the video then says, "This was not just a father being too worried or imagining things. It was a clear plan for how to survive. This plan was sealed in an envelope and written by the man who tried to warn the world with his music. But he knew people would only listen when it was too late." Here's the next part of the story. And remember, it takes many hours to find and put together every deleted online message, every fake story, and every attempt by powerful people to cover up the truth. If you want to help this channel continue its work, please click the join button and become a member. We will keep showing you the things they don't want you to see. Paris took a breath and told the court more. He had these nights where he would not sleep at all. I would hear him talking, but no one else would be in the room with him. One night in 2008, I saw him arguing with the mirror. She stopped for a moment. He said, "You can't see them, but they are always watching. And they like reflections, like in mirrors, because they can hide their bad offers in the light that bounces off them." She was only 10 years old at the time, but she remembered what he said very clearly. Never sign anything in a room with no corners. This was a feature of some buildings that most people wouldn't notice. In many expensive music studios, especially those built for training artists, the rooms were specially designed. They had rounded ceilings and curved walls. There were no sharp edges or angles. Paris said her father told her, corners were places where the truth could hide. If a room had no corners, it meant someone was trying to control the sound and also control what you remember. Court records showed that Michael's personal security team had a handwritten note from early 2006. The note said, "Do not allow SC to come past Gate B. He is not allowed to enter, even if his name is changed or hidden." It also said, "Soft voice, soft hand, hidden contracts." This part was underlined twice, and it said, "No recordings when he visits." Next to that note, the letters DC were written, also underlined. Investigators think DC might mean delivery courier. This was a code for people who moved artists who had signed contracts. They took them between big houses, shows, or places for training. This information matches what many witnesses have said in the current Diddy court case. They talked about velvet men, who would show up late at night and quietly take someone away. In 2011, Diddy secretly bought a home in the Hollywood Hills. He used a fake company name so no one would know it was him. The plans for the house show a main living room that was circular, with no sharp edges at all. It also had an underground studio called Phase C. There was a private elevator that could only be reached from the guest house. And most worrying, there was a room with glass walls but no ceiling. The plans called it a visual reorientation suite, which means a room to change how you see things. In his letter, Michael wrote, "They put you in rooms made of glass so you think you are free. But glass bends the light and hides what is really happening." Paris told the court, "He said they built rooms to confuse your mind and scramble your thoughts. He said mirrors and glass were not just for looking at yourself. They were used to disrupt your reflection so you couldn't remember what actually happened inside those rooms." One note in her diary from 2009 says, "Daddy said a man offered him the mirror room again. He told them no. He said, 'I have already seen what they do with sound.'" In a personal letter that was not released to the public but found in 2020 and confirmed as real by two lawyers for the Jackson family, Michael wrote, "The people who offer you the most light are often the ones who take away the most sound, your voice, your power. And when you cannot sing without hearing them approve of it, you are no longer really singing at all." Many people who say they were victims in the Diddy case have used similar words. They said, "He made it feel very fancy and special, like you were lucky to be there." Paris said, "My dad always called it velvet, because velvet is a soft material that covers sharp, dangerous things. And the sharpest, most dangerous thing in Hollywood is silence." He warned her about the voice that comes with promises, the hand that signs deals without using real ink, and the rooms that echo but never seem to remember what happened in them. Paris Jackson was 18 years old. Her career as a model was growing. She was getting offers to be in movies. Then she got an email from someone using the name Luca S. This person said they were connected with a company that placed creative people in jobs. Paris told the court, "They said they represented a private group of music people, not a normal record label, but a development guild, a group for developing artists. They told me, 'Your father cleared the path for you, and we can make you the next message carrier.'" That exact phrase, message carrier, has appeared in 3 different testimonies from people in the Diddy trial. One dancer said she was told she would deliver presents through her dancing. A stylist said she was taught how to dress famous people for conditioning influence, meaning to control them. An ex-vocal coach said she quit her job when she was told her student was being prepared to loop phrasing for delivery to mass audiences. This means to repeat certain phrases over and over to send messages to many people. Paris now believes they were trying to pull her back into the same system her father had warned her about. They told her, "I didn't need to be a star, just a symbol." After Paris turned down their offer, she noticed strange things happening with how the public saw her. A magazine article about her was canceled. An editor made a last-minute choice not to feature her. Suddenly, many people on Twitter started saying hateful things about her, calling her fake. Emails from people she used to work with just stopped coming. She told the judge, "It was like someone just flipped a switch. One moment I was seen as carrying on my father's legacy, and the next I was being called unstable, exactly like he warned me would happen." In 2009, not long before he died, Michael filmed a private practice session. The video was only supposed to be for his family to keep. At the 3-minute and 44-second mark in the video, he stops in the middle of a song, stares right into the camera, and mouths some words without making a sound. The words were, "Tell Paris mirror light is false." That short video clip was never shown to the public until this trial. The court paused the video and played that moment 3 times. Each time, his lips clearly formed those exact words. Paris testified, "He knew the bright lights and fame would tempt me, but he also knew how to break its bad spell." She later showed that her father had given her a bracelet. It had a small charm with a tiny piece of a mirror set into it. He told me, "If the light ever makes you doubt what is real, look at it through this. Not their mirror, but yours." The email from Luca S. included one last attempt to convince her. It said, "Your father opened the portal, a kind of doorway. Now it is your turn to carry the echo." She replied with only one sentence. "I don't echo. I remember." The world thought she was just his daughter. But Paris was not just carrying his famous name. She was carrying his warning. And this time, she brought the proof. A former head of security, James Laurel, then went to speak in court. He had a single folder and looked very hesitant. He started by saying, "Michael trusted very few people near the end of his life. But there were moments when he let his guard down, and what he told me changed everything I thought I knew about that world." Michael was scheduled to perform at a private after-party. The party was hosted by a powerful group of business people. He arrived, went inside, and then suddenly froze. "I saw him stare at the stage," James testified. "The floor was made of red glass. The ceiling was covered in mirrors. There were no microphones, just 3 white spotlights and a couch." James said Michael turned to him and said, "This is not a concert. This is a contract ceremony." According to people who know about these things, it is a special performance like a ritual. It is meant to show that the performer agrees to comply with certain things, to silently finalize very important deals, and to tie the performer to specific ways of influencing people. James said Michael refused to go on stage. He pulled James aside and said, "They want me to echo something that does not belong to me." He walked out. The room quickly emptied, and everyone was silent. No video of this event was ever released. 3 months later, while Michael was getting ready for a photo shoot for the press, James noticed something shiny in the corner of the dressing room mirror. He unscrewed the frame of the mirror. Inside, he found a small camera lens and a wire that went through the wall. Michael stared at it and whispered, "They always watch the voice, especially when it is trying to heal itself." James presented a photograph of this hidden camera setup. The photo was dated and confirmed to be real. It showed a microphone disguised to look like a light bulb. James said, "He told me the system wanted more than just his sound. They wanted his ability to move people's emotions, to control how people feel through his voice, not just what they hear." Michael wrote in one of his journals, "They study resonance, the power and feeling in a voice, not the words of the song. That is why they let you sing, as long as you do not feel what you are singing." In a very scary connection, 3 different people who say they are victims in the Diddy case have now talked about a red room. One called it the place where they see who is ready to leave their true self behind. Another said, "It is not a place, it is a test. You walk in as a whole person and you come out echoing others. And now, we know." Michael faced this red room experience too, but he refused to go along with it. James Laurel said, "The last night I worked for him, he hugged me and said, 'Do you know why they hate me? Because I sing without the system.' Then he added, 'And I told my daughter, if they ever come for Paris, tell her he never signed it, their contract or agreement.'" The velvet room, the contract ceremony, the voice they tried to control but couldn't, and the father who spent his final years not just protecting his fame, but preparing his daughter to finish the fight. Paris stood up, reached into her coat pocket, and pulled out a small red envelope. She walked straight to the judge and handed it to him. She did this without her lawyer and without any announcement. The judge opened it. Inside was a USB drive, a small memory stick, labeled Jackson Vault, T2011, for Paris if they ever ask. The audio file on the drive was 91 seconds long. It was Michael Jackson speaking alone, very softly. It was likely recorded sometime in 2007. He says, "They used to call it a gift. Then they called it a product. Then they said, 'We will take it from here.' He is silent for a moment. Then he says, "Then they build the walls with compliments and fill the rooms with velvet. And when you try to leave, they say you are hurting the ones who believed in you." He ends by saying, "I am recording this because someday I may not be able to say it." After the audio played, Paris explained that her father gave her a teddy bear a few weeks after this recording was made. On the tag of the bear, he wrote, "If it ever feels too quiet, look in the stitching." She never knew what he meant until last year. When the stitching on the bear started to come apart, she found a tiny chip hidden near the bear's neck. On that chip was a second audio file, but this one was Paris herself speaking. The court played the second file. Paris could not have been older than 7. The audio was not very clear, but you could hear her whisper, "Daddy said if I ever get lost, not to listen to the man with the soft voice because he makes you forget your name." Then there was silence, followed by her younger voice singing, "They can't hear you if you scream inside." She told the judge, "I don't remember recording that, but I remember the fear." Federal prosecutors, government lawyers, immediately asked for a break in the court case. One agent was reportedly heard saying quietly, "If Jackson protected his daughter with this much planning ahead, then this was not him being overly worried. This was him giving testimony before anything happened." Michael used a secret coded system for his private files and unreleased recordings. People who knew him now believe T12 or 11 was his personal code for targeted 12 Room 11. Room 11 was his private studio. It was the only one that outside security could not access. According to his housekeeper, it was also the place he would go when he did not trust the walls in other rooms. She stood before the court holding the bear and said, "I did not come here to hurt anyone. I came here because he told me they would try again." And they did. This is not about being famous. It is about being free. And someone has to say it first. Not every legacy left by a famous person is a song. Some legacies are whispers in mirrors, files hidden in vaults, and warnings sewn inside a childhood toy. In his official will from 2002, which was legally signed and confirmed, Michael Jackson included a single handwritten line below all the typed legal words. It read, "No inheritance money may be used to activate the Velvet Clause." At that time, lawyers marked this note as not being a real legal instruction, probably just something symbolic he wanted to say. But in court today, that Velvet Clause was the final piece of the puzzle. Because thanks to Paris, we now know what Velvet Clause meant. Federal agents recently got a private development contract from a production company that is now closed, but was connected to Bad Boy Entertainment. Hidden deep in the contract language, on page 19, paragraph 4, it said, "Subject, the artist, agrees to follow influence conditioning during all appearances under the Velvet Clause." The clause talked about controlling how artists look, managing their emotions, and making them spend time in silent rooms to weaken their vocal power and spirit. In short, it was a system for programming their behavior, disguised as rules for their brand and image. Paris told the court, "He left the warning where everyone could see it, but they thought it was just art or a strange comment." It turns out Michael had hired his own computer coder, someone to help him hide keywords in his legacy files. Velvet Clause was one of them. So were glass echo and mirror loop. Each of these keywords connects back to current investigations into how artists are manipulated using trauma. Inside the archival box that held Michael's will, court officials found a second red envelope. This one was labeled, "If she ever speaks." Inside was a single sentence written in Michael's unique handwriting. "They will try to silence the ones who still sing their own song." Below that, there was a thumb drive. On it was a document titled, "The Ones Who Escaped." The file contained a list of 14 names. Each name had 2 dates next to it. One date was marked entry, when they entered the system, and one was marked withdrawal, when they left or broke free. The final name on the list was Paris M. Jackson. Next to her name, entry was marked NA, meaning not applicable, or never entered. Withdrawal was marked initiated, meaning started or in progress. Prosecutors believe this was a tracking document. It was a list of people who had either joined the system willingly or were born close to it and later managed to break away. And only 3 names on the entire list had both the entry and withdrawal dates filled in. One person familiar with the situation said, "It was not just what Paris showed them. It is the fact that Michael prepared all of this before she even knew what kind of dangers she would be up against. That is not paranoia. That is protecting your legacy and family. And it worked. The judge has ordered a full forensic review, a very detailed investigation, of all the Jackson estate archives. A separate special committee will be formed to check Velvet Clause documents across different record labels. Witness protection will be provided for Paris Jackson until all the information can be safely disclosed. One district attorney, a government lawyer, reportedly said, "This has just blown open an entirely new line of investigation." And the Jacksons are not just victims, they are whistleblowers, people who expose wrongdoing. A father who knew a war was coming. A daughter who refused to just echo what others wanted her to say. And a courtroom that finally heard the true song without any filters.